PNR Networks is a member of Patreon. Show your love for our shows by joining our ongoing fundraising campaign and get some fantastic perks in return. Check it out and become a Patreon sponsor. You can sign up at patreon.com, patreon.com/PNR Networks. And thanks for your support.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
It's Kim versus TC in the battle of the lists.
My list is better.
My list is better.
My list is better.
No, it's not. My list is better.
Kim or TC, who has the better list? From Subject Cinema, this is Front Row 5 and 10 with Kim Brown and TC Kirkham.
Hey guys, welcome to another week here on Front Row 5 and 10, brought to you by the good people that bring you Subject Cinema. That would be me and him, the me being Kim Brown.
The him being TC Kirkham. Welcome, everybody.
Hi.
Lots of count-up lists and lots of fun. We hope you'll join us every Thursday for our list show, counting up 110 or 25 lists. And we'd love to hear ideas from you about your lists, about lists we can do. We've done a ton of them already, but we love getting ideas from you. Please write us, front row at PNRNetworks.com with your list ideas. If we use it, you'll get your name on the air and a small prize of some sort. We'll figure out something. I don't know what, but it'll be fun. This week was my choice.
Yes.
And I picked a good topic.
Yes, you did.
And one that nearly killed me coming up with it. From 1993 to 1998, it brought a lot of joy into our lives, our friends' lives. We were hopelessly addicted to it.
Yes.
And now we are going to be continue to show off that addiction and our strange sense of humor as we count up our top 10 Animaniacs segments. Animaniacs, of course, produced by Steven Spielberg. It was his first big thing for original thing. I mean, Tiny Toons was a spinoff of the old show, old Looney Tunes, but
yeah.
Animaniacs was original and the only successful original. Freakazoid was a bomb, and so was Hysteria.
Which is a shame.
Hysteria was funny. I enjoyed that. I hated Freakazoid. I know you liked it, but ugh. This is going to be a little bit different because we're going to be counting the individual cartoons, individual segments of the show, and also small interstitials that we've grouped into one segment because they may have gone through 42 episodes with little 2-minute vignettes, but they're a series, so they count the series. Kim has those. I actually, none of the series actually made my top 10, although there were a couple that made my also-ran list. I have 25 also-rans I will talk to you about when we're done with the countdown.
Okay.
I had a hell of a time with this, didn't you? You said you didn't.
I didn't because I wanted to pick the ones that made me laugh the hardest or actually made me cry. You know, I wanted to pick ones that touched me on a really emotional level, and I will be honest, some of these I laughed till I was in pain. Yeah. I mean...
Now, the Animaniacs were made up of individual segments. There were some one-shots, but the regular segments were Yakko, Wacko, and Dot, the Warner Brothers and Warner sister. They were the leads of the show, along with Slappy Squirrel, Pinky and the Brain, who later got their own show, I'm trying to think of who else is there. Chicken Boo, Minerva Mink, Rita and Runt, Mindy and Buttons. Mindy and Buttons. And a few other ones I can't think of off the top of my head. So, alrighty then. I picked the list. That means you get to start. Let's count up our top 10 Animaniacs segments.
Okay. I have a
There's
couple
going to be a lot of razzing between the two of us on these, I'm sure. And probably some matching.
I have a couple of honorable mentions. Not 25 of them, because I'm not as...
I didn't have... No. I took the entire list, called it to 35, and then picked my top 10, because it's just too hard to do it any other way.
Okay.
So don't razz on my... Don't you be hating on me.
You just said we were probably going to razz each other. I'm just...
Okay, fine.
You know, I'm just living up to the hype.
Yep, okay.
On my runner-up list would include Macbeth, which was one of the... They did a couple of smaller cartoons that were done in the style of someone would be reciting a Shakespeare sonnet, monologue, something like that. Uh-huh. And then there would be someone else translating it for the modern audience. Mm-hmm. And one of them was the three witches from Macbeth. Another one was a line from a monologue from A Midsummer Night's Dream. Mm-hmm. Also on my runners-up list, I Got Your Can, which was a Slappy squirrel. I liked Slappy entirely too much.
I did too. She's got a big part of my top 10.
Okay. But first on my list, and coming in at number 10 is actually someone that you didn't mention when you were talking about...
Well, I said, did I forget anybody?
Well...
Obviously I did.
Yes,
I'm sorry,
you did.
There's a lot of characters.
One of the characters you didn't mention was Colin.
Oh, now, well, no, he's not a part... Those are the interstitials. I didn't bring up the interstitials.
Okay, well, anyway... actually, his name is never said in the show. He was called Colin by the scriptwriters and the people that worked on the show. The audience knew him as Randy Beeman's friend. And what would happen with this cartoon for the most part? I think they were...
It scares me how well she does this. This is really something.
They mostly didn't variate from this. The cartoon, the little teeny cartoons, would be Colin coming out of his house and then toddling down the stairs and walking down the sidewalk and then standing pretty much right in front of his house. Now, Colin looks to be about 6.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
I'm terrible with ages, so, and he would start talking about his friend Randy Beeman, or sometimes Randy Beeman's mom. And it would always start with, one time Randy Beeman's mom did blah, 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 blah. And then we would get this rambling, ridiculous story, and then we'd get to the end of it and he'd be like, okay, bye. And then he'd just turn around and toddle back into the house.
You didn't do the voice. You can do the voice. That's the scary thing.
I don't think I do Colin's voice
okay,
that well.
All right.
I could try it again.
No,
if you
that's
want.
Okay.
But the whole, this actually evolved into a private and very mean joke. I admit
which will stay private.
I do admit it was very bitchy on my part, but it was deserved. So don't look at me like that.
I didn't look at you anyway.
You know it was. And I just liked the character of Colin. I liked his he was a very sweet little kid, He was what happens when you put a little kid in front of a live mic and a running camera. Just stand back and let it happen. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I just thought they were so cute, and I just loved the little okay, bye at the end, and it was just that, like I said, turned into a mean private joke.
Anyway.
So my number 10, Colin, a.k.a. Randy Beeman's friend.
They must have run about 20 of those over the course of the 5 years in interstitials, along with several other ones. As I said, I didn't pick any of the interstitials on my top 10, although that did make my runners up. And it's hard because there's so much good stuff out there.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, it was really a challenge. I adjusted the top 10 several times. The top 3 kept rotating. I kept trying to figure out which one of the top 3 I wanted. My number 10 is a classic simply because it's a parody of a parody. That's not right. It's a parody of a classic scene from a movie. But the whole cartoon is sort of a parody of that scene, but there has to be things going on behind it, because in the world of Animaniacs, as in the world of Roger Rabbit, the the cartoon players are real. They mix with humans. They do all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. Which is how come my number 10 is Bumby's Mom. Bumby's Mom is a Slappy Squirrel cartoon in which Skippy, her nephew, sees Bambi or Bumby for the first time.
The name of the cartoon that she takes him to is Bumby the Dearest Dear.
Right, Bumby the Dearest Dear.
Gee, I wonder what that's a parody of.
And of course, in the middle of this movie, Bumby's mom gets killed by the hunter, and Skippy freaks out, and Bumby's mom. This goes on for the whole episode. Slappy finally arranges to take Skippy to meet the actress that played Bumby's mom. Does that make any sense? She's living in a trailer park in Arizona. In retirement, because Slappy's supposed to be old, like in her 70s, I think, so he, and she still has it. She still has the line. She can still do the line, and it's freaking hilarious. And of course, on the plane ride back to wherever home is from Arizona, the movie they're playing on the trip home is Old Smeller. We know how that one's going to end, too. Mm-hmm. My number 10 favorite Animaniacs is Slappy Squirrel's Bumby's Mom, which I know you don't really care for. You're never a big fan of that one, right? Oh, maybe so. Okay, I don't know.
My number 9 is another one of the interstitial ones. I was watching some of these on the train home from work today, simply just to refresh myself with them. And I'm like sitting there going, don't laugh. Because I'm just like, if I start laughing, I'm not going to stop, and they're going to call somebody and they're going to take me away again. And
again. Stop that.
Just kidding. They haven't caught me yet.
Anyway,
my number 9 is the good idea, bad idea segments. Voiced
which
by...
are only made, they're only made good because of Tom Bodet's voiceovers.
That's part of the wonderfulness of it is Tom Bodett, who has that wonderful "we'll keep the light on" voice.
Yeah, Tom Bodett was the spokesperson for Motel 6 for about 20 years, and he does that and Mime Time.
Yes. Mime Time did not make my list
either.
Because, I being a mime...
It's mimes.
No, see, that's the thing. I respect mimes. Doing what they do is hard work. As a performer, I feel for them. Anyway, good idea, bad idea. For those of you who've never seen it, and I can't believe there's any of you out there, was a segment where there was a character on the show that they only used very sparingly called Mr. Skullhead. He was kind of like...
He had a couple cartoons of his own, and then he was used for this. And that was about it,
yeah. So what they would do is they would have the good idea. And the good idea would be something like throwing a penny in a fountain to make a wish. And then you'd see Mr. Skullhead throwing a penny in the fountain to make a wish. Then you'd get bad idea, throwing your cousin Penny in the fountain to make a wish. And...
Sploosh.
Sploosh.
The end.
The end. I mean, they're so ridiculous. The stupid thing is the ones that really make sense when you sit there and think about it and you're like, I really shouldn't laugh at this because it's morbid as hell, but it's so funny. What I mean by that is one that was good idea. Throwing a surprise party for your father. And it shows a family and the father coming home and they're all surprised and he's all happy. Bad idea. Throwing a surprise party for your grandfather. Same thing, elderly guy, surprise, guy keels over dead. And
end.
The end. That's funny, man. I'm sorry. It's sick and it's morbid and it's twisted and it's funny as hell.
Animaniacs is a show that was aimed at our age group at the time, between 20 and 35. I don't care what you say. Yes, kids liked it, but adults loved it.
Yeah. Because a lot of the jokes were for the kids. And a lot of the jokes that weren't for the kids went right over their heads and hit their big brothers and sisters or their parents right between the eyes. So my number 5, good idea, bad idea.
Number 9?
Number 9. What did I say?
You said number 5.
Sorry, number 9. I'm sorry. Sorry.
My number 9 is... I only like it because it's just kind of goofy. And I'm not terribly fond of all of the shorts that they did with Pinky and the Brain. But this one always never fails to crack me up because it is such a great parody of 1950s kid shows that it's like, where else can you go with this? Number 9, Puppet Rulers. Brain makes a time machine. They go back in the 1950s to brainwash the kids of the 50s into following them when they become adults in the modern time, which is the 1990s.
Yeah. And their triumphant comeback.
Right. They end up playing characters on a children's show called Big Ears and Noodle Noggin. I'm on the floor every time this is on. I mainly because Rob Paulsen, who voices Pinky, is so freaking funny in this. This is his best performance in any of them. Because Pinky is always fun to listen to, but Rob has that wonderful quality where he does that crazy voice that Jen used to do. Our friend Jen, who was a big Animaniacs fan.
Narf!
Yeah, Narf, Fjord, all those stuff.
Yeah.
Plus the Big Ears and Noodle Noggin chants. And it never fails to completely convulse me. Maurice LaMarche does a great job imitating Orson Welles here. I mean, that's what he's doing, is Orson Welles as Pinky.
And in Ed Wood.
Huh?
And in Ed Wood.
And in Ed Wood,
Vocally.
he did the voice for Vincent D'Onofrio, which doesn't make any sense because Vincent D'Onofrio has a great short out there called 30 Minutes. Right?
5 Minutes,
Mr. Wells, which he does a great job doing Orson Welles. I don't know why they felt they had to do that, but Maurice is great at it. And I love this show. I love this one. Pinky and the Brain, Puppet Rulers, number 9.
Okay. I don't mean to be a downer here, and hopefully it won't come off as a downer for my number 8.
I know what this one is.
The first time I saw this, I
bawled.
I did. I bawled. If you showed it to me now, I'd bawl. I'm sorry, estrogen, boobs, can't help it, chick, you know. My number 8 is one called A Gift of Gold. This is so incredibly beautiful. It is one of the most charming cartoons I've ever seen without being cloying. I really don't think it's cloying at all. I think it's heartwarming.
It is. It's on my runner's up.
The whole thing about this story is it's told about a piece of gold wrapping paper that at the beginning is very prideful and very arrogant and very proud of the fact that it's gold and shiny. And it goes through a lot of transitions and ups and downs, and it's hard to think of an inanimate object as having feelings, but it does. At the end of the segment, it winds up being wrapping paper for a man whose family has obviously fallen on very hard times, and they're living out of their car, and this man wraps up a toy for his daughter. And it's a small toy, you know, and by now the wrapping paper's worn and tarnished and stuff like that. But to this child,
You found it in the dumpster, didn't you?
Yeah. To this child, it's something beautiful and special and meaningful. And
she's choking
I'm
up
sorry,
right now.
I'm sorry. I told myself I wasn't gonna do this.
I hope not.
I sat there. I was moved. I was profoundly moved by this.
They had that ability on this show. They could really pull out the heartstrings when they wanted to.
I just thought it was wonderful. So my number 8, A Gift of Gold. It's just so sweet.
My number 8 couldn't get any further away from that.
Well, surprise.
Well, no, I did. It's on my runners up list. I like that one. This one, well, it's kind of it's all over the road because, well, let's see, you've got the Warners, you got Mr. Plotz, you've got Jerry Lewis in clown form, and you have clown-phobic people in it. Mr. Plotz decides to hire a clown for Wacko's birthday, not realizing Wacko hates clowns. The clown is in the form of Jerry Lewis. The cartoon is called Clown and Out. And he looks like Jerry Lewis. This is the first of 3 times, or maybe this is the second of 3 times, we saw a Jerry Lewis persona. We saw him as Mr. Director in the Apocalypse Now parody, and I think we saw him as the clown one other time. And here he is trying his best to make he's a party clown. He comes to do birthday parties. Problem is, Yakko, Wacko, and Dot are not having any of this, and Wacko especially is not having any of this. So you got Mr. Clown trying to do his little songs, and getting just the living tar kicked out of him every which way but loose. I'm not a big Jerry Lewis fan. I'm not particularly fond of clowns. I'm not afraid of them, and I don't hate them the way Kim keeps insisting that I do. But I just don't have any love lost for clowns either way. But this is brilliantly funny, and whoever's doing the Jerry Lewis imitation did a really, really, really good job with the voice. And they do a lot of singing, a lot of dancing, and poor clown ends up where he probably shouldn't be. But in any case, go away, Mr. Clown, you bother me, you frighten me. That's what the big, the line is there in Clowning Out, number 8 on my Animaniacs favorites.
Okay. Number 7 for my list is one you've already mentioned.
Oh. Okay, you did like it then. Okay.
My number 7 is Bumby's mom.
Bumby's mom!
Which, as TC mentioned, is a Slappy Squirrel cartoon.
Slappy and Skippy.
Yes.
Although they hadn't added Skippy to the credit yet.
No.
They would in season 2.
A parody for anybody who was traumatized, thanks Disney, by the scene by what we actually don't see in Bambi, where Bambi's mother is murdered.
You actually don't see it here. You see Skippy see it. So it's like, okay.
Where Bambi's mother is murdered by the hunter. And screw all you NRA people, I'm sorry.
Do you mind?
No, I'm just kidding. Hunting is fine if you're into that sort of thing and want to shoot an innocent, sweet little fluffy animal. But I digress.
Yes, you do.
The part that there's quite a few things about this one that I like, but the one thing that I really, really and truly like is the fact that you can tell that for all her curmudgeoniness, and goodness knows she could give grumpy old men lessons on being grumpy old men, Slappy truly loves Skippy.
She does, yeah.
And she doesn't want to see him traumatized. And she also wants to teach him a lesson about what you see on the screen. That's not real. Those are actors playing a part.
Right.
And the other thing that I like so much about Slappy is the fact that in this episode, in this segment, she is fiercely protective of Skippy. Mm-hmm. When they're at the theater, after the scene happens where Bumby's mom is shot, and Skippy goes into this hysterical crying jag, there's another theater patron who's like, "What's that child's problem?" And Slappy looks at the woman and she's like, "Me. And in about 2 seconds, you're going to share that problem." And as she's taking Skippy out, still bawling, the woman makes like she's going to say something else. Slappy whirls around, gets right in her face. "You say one more word, I'm going to stick a dynamite down your pants." And storms out with Skippy. I'm like, that's love.
Yeah.
That's
dynamite down the pants. That's love.
That's the thing. I mean, it's like me and my sister. My sister and I fought like cats and dogs growing up.
Yeah.
But if somebody else did something to my sister, my first reaction was hurt them.
Yeah, it is
badly.
Yep.
And I think I really love this, and I love that aspect of it. Mm-hmm. And I know I'm reading way too much into a cartoon.
No, you're not. It's a great show. It's a great cartoon.
And the other thing that I love about that one, real quick, is when she actually gets Skippy to the trailer park to meet the actress that played this character, and he doesn't believe her that this is the same person.
Yeah, she's old.
Yeah,
like
she's
Slappy.
not Bumby's mom. She's old. And Slappy looks at the camera. Tactless, yet rude.
Which immediately became part of our vernacular.
Yeah, we use that all the time. All the time. It's ridiculous. My number 7, Bumby's mom.
My number 7 is one I'm thinking is going to figure even higher on her list, because I don't think I ever saw her laugh this hard at a single episode of Animaniacs. In the 1990s, there was a scourge in children's television that had to do with a gigantic and really annoying purple dinosaur. We enjoyed the hell out of the Animaniacs' take on this show, It was called Baloney and Kids, and it features in at number 7 on my list. When Yakko, Wacko, and Dot get stuck on the Baloney and Friends television show. Now here, Baloney is orange, not purple, right? It's been a while since I watched it. And he's even more annoying than the real dinosaur, Barney. Yeah.
It's like showing the Dracula crucifix.
And like they are always saying, "Are we being punished?"
Yes.
This I can't even describe this, and I'll let her do it later when it comes up on her list because I know it will. This thing is 7.5 minutes of sheer dinosaur abuse delight for anybody who hated Barney. This thing is schadenfreude out the wazoo. It is. I've never seen her laugh as hard as I did. I mean, she was laughing so hard I thought she was going to have a heart attack at one point.
Stop.
Well, you were. We were sitting there. I had seen it earlier in the day, and I couldn't wait to show you when I got home from work because I worked late at the time, and she didn't get home till 5, and then we watched it together again. And it was, it was one of the funniest things. It still is one of the funniest things they ever did. You have to see it to understand it, but it's so fun. Number 7, Baloney and Kids. Mm-hmm. The Warners and a certain parody of a purple dinosaur.
Yep. Number 6 for me is actually, it might kind of surprise some people, simply because it's very male.
Okay.
The humor in it.
I think I know what it is.
The humor in this cartoon, in this one, is very male. My number 6 is an Animaniacs, is a Warner cartoon with the Warners called Potty Emergency. See what I mean? The whole point of it is that the Warner siblings are at the theater, and Wacko's the little tiny one with the red hat that talks like Ringo Starr that was voiced by Jess Harnell. We're not worthy.
Who was
we're not worthy,
awesome
we're not
when we
worthy.
met him in person. He was cool.
Rob Paulson did Yakko's voice, and we should also mention Tress
McNeil is
Dot's voice.
Now doing
people,
Animaniacs Live, getting ready to do a new Animaniacs Live tour, which is going to be a lot of
all
fun.
All awesome people, which we'd totally love to meet.
Yes, we do.
They go to the theater, and Wacko's been drinking from this cup of soda that you could probably swim in.
It's a hot tub.
Yeah.
Of soda.
You could drown a small animal in this thing. And needless to say, what happens when you drink a lot of soda, especially theater soda, which has a lot of ice.
Yeah.
You have to go to the bathroom. The problem is he can't seem to find anywhere to get any relief.
Because the theater bathrooms are being repaired or something, or closed for cleaning, and he's got to go. Badly. So he's running around everywhere trying to find some facilities. The part that was like, oh my gosh, this is so funny and horrible and gross and nightmare-inducing at the same time, is when he stumbles upon a gas station. And he... I can't even finish this, and he knows what's coming. He asks the gentleman at the gas station for the key, and the guy gives it to him, but before he goes in there, the guy says something to the effect of to be careful that he hasn't cleaned the bathroom in, I believe he says years. It may have been decades. I don't remember. Years. And then laughs like a madman. 2 years or something like that. And then laughs like a complete crazy person. And trust me, I know what that laugh sounds like. He clicks on, Wacko clicks on the light, and, it opens the door. And it's dark. It's a very dark room. He clicks on the light, and then you realize the darkness is actually not darkness as in lack of light. The darkness is caused by 70 kajillion cockroaches that all scurry away when the light comes on. I can't potty in there. It's disgusting. I think part of my brain just exploded because I was like, I don't know whether I should laugh or throw up.
I was like in between. I was like, that was actually really funny, but man, my gag reflex is going completely insane. So my number 6, potty emergency. Very male, but get in touch with your masculine side, girls. It's really funny.
My number 6 is funny in a really mean-spirited sort of way, especially since now both of the people that it involves are no longer with us. But it's one of
But they were when it was out.
They were when it was out, yes. And it is one of the funniest because, well, we're film people. We host Subject Cinema. We do all this kind of stuff. And we do this show, and we do all these other things. And, well, we all know that Siskel and Ebert could get under the skin of everybody. But boy, did they get under the skin of Slappy Squirrel in number 6, Critical Condition. Now, these are not Siskel and Ebert, Egbert, I think it was Slackmer and Egbert.
Something like that.
They never used the right names for people, but they look just like Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel.
Yeah.
And they're doing a review of DVD sets, and one of the sets they do is the Slappy Squirrel collection. And she's watching their show, and they proceed to trash every aspect of this thing, and at the end of the review, they give it 2 big toes down. While Slappy goes ballistic, and Skippy can't wait to help her get revenge on these two. Codger Egbert, I remember, was his. I can't remember what Gene's was. But it's like she proceeds to wreak havoc with the 2 famous film critics in a way that it is, by the end of it, they're praising her, everything she does, sitting in their studio from the original sneak previews, it looked like, with, casts and...
Severe body casts.
Oh my God, it's a riot. I'm like, I enjoyed Slappy entirely too much. Slappy was my favorite character on the show. I love those. And this one is just a riot. Number 6, the wonderful Siskel and Ebert parody, Critical Condition.
Okay. My number 5 is one that you've already mentioned.
Okay.
My number 5 is Clownin' Out.
Oh, really? I didn't think it'd be that high on your list. Wow.
It is unbearably funny. The really interesting thing is the fact that the thing about this episode that amazes me so much is the fact that it really does show a lot of the way, and it mirrors a lot of the way adults view children.
Okay.
In a specific way.
Okay.
Thaddeus Plotz is the person that is the head of the Warner Studios in this
universe,
timeline.
yeah.
And in a way, the Warners kind of view him as a parental figure, sort of, in a way.
I think more of an uncle. I think Scratchy's more of
a guardian-esque figure, put it that way.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm going for is the fact that sometimes parents think, well, when I was a child, I loved blah, blah, blah. So I'm sure the kids will love it if we do, A, B, and C.
Except he didn't.
Or they think, oh, all kids love clowns, so it'll be wonderful to have a clown at the birthday party. That
Even
kind
though
of a thing.
He hates them.
Yeah, Mr. Plotz is also afraid of clowns as well. The problem is when you have a clown entertaining at a children's birthday party, and said child has coulrophobia, which, unlike what Dr. Scratch and Sniff says in this episode, the fear of clowns is not called clownophobia, it is called coulrophobia.
Well, Dr. Scratch and Sniff wasn't exactly dependable with his...
Well, I realize that, but it was
his
but it was actually quite close. It was actually quite close, which I liked. I liked that they had that little technical thing in there, but they kind of tossed it on its ear. Mm-hmm. The bigger problem is when you have someone who has severe coulrophobia and access to a gaddy bag. Say hello to Wacko Warner.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Wacko's gaddy bag was another part of our main love for this show. That man, that kid could pull anything out of that bag.
For those of
it's
you,
it's a TARDIS. In bag
it's kind of like if you had a bag of infinite capacity.
Yeah, from D&D. Yeah.
That went insane.
Yeah.
That's what
he
the
has
gaddy
everything.
bag is.
He even had a dragon in there at one point. It's like, okay, what?
I need one of those.
I know. No, you don't.
No, I do.
I'll never get you out of it. you'll fall into it and you'll be like hopelessly floating around like Zia at the end of Wrist Cutters.
You won't let me have a double-edged lightsaber. I don't get to have a gaddy bag. I never get to have anything fun.
You have plenty of swords in there and whips.
Oh, shh. That was a joke, Mom. Anyway,
Your mother knows you have whips.
shut up! The thing about this episode, it is merciless to Jerry Lewis. I don't know who on the writing staff had a problem with Jerry Lewis, but they had an axe to grind that Jason Voorhees couldn't lift. I mean, wow. I have to say the one thing about this episode that I really like the best is the end. By the end of the episode, spoiler alert.
I wasn't giving it away, but if you want to, go ahead.
Well, I like it because it's nice.
It is cute. It's funny.
It's nice and everybody wins. You know, Wacko's gotten rid of the clown in a way that doesn't involve, having to hide a body. And the clown has wound up someplace where he actually finds people that appreciate his talents.
Yeah.
Far, far away.
Such as they are.
Well, you work with what you got.
Yeah.
So my number 5, clowning out.
Yeah.
And that did give us another thing, go away, Mr. Clown, you scare me. That's made its way into our daily vernacular too.
Yeah.
Because we're just weird.
My number 5 is another one of those Warner cartoons that just, I don't know, Kim laughed herself sick, Stacy laughed herself sick. I laughed myself.
Stacy laughs at Dexter, so that's not really,
Okay, fine. But
Hi,
she was a
Stacey.
huge Animaniacs fan, like all of us.
Uh-huh.
And it also happens that we're all huge Trekkies. So when they decided to take on the Trek audience in the hilarious episode Karaoke Dokie...
that one. I thought you were talking about the actual Star Trek parody. Okay.
No. I'm talking... No. In this one, it's karaoke day for the kids at the Warner Studios, kids, families, and whatever. And people get to sign up to sing kids' songs on the karaoke machine. Well, they decided to... the Warners wanted to have their turn, but they see that the whole page, about 90 slots on the page, is signed off by some guy named Willie Slackmer. It's William Shatner parody. And then after him is Lenny Neboy. And Willie Slackner is entertaining the kids with his unique style of singing. Here we go. Black sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir. 3 bags full. It's really like, okay, you have to appreciate the way Bill does his singing, quote unquote.
Stop that! That was mean!
Was it inaccurate?
That was mean!
I thought. Bill is a great entertainer and a great actor and a funny human being.
And a hell of a sport.
Egomaniac the size of Cincinnati.
Stop that!
But, the man has won how many Boneheads of the Week on Subject Cinema?
Okay.
The only person that's beaten him is Justin Bieber.
That's true.
This is, it's hysterical because he's got a sort of a Star Trek costume on when he's doing all this.
Yeah, it's more the costumes from the movies.
Yeah, more from the pastel film than anything, right?
I thought it was more from the...
You thought it was more from the other ones? Okay,
yeah,
I don't know.
The high collar.
Okay,
and
maybe.
All that.
But anyway, it's just hilarious. And Yakko, Wacko, and Dot do everything they can to get him off stage, and it's freaking hilarious. Number 5, Karaoke Dokie.
Okay. My number 4 was a one-shot. It was a one-shot with the Warners. It wasn't... They never did anything like this again. But I liked it because it also harkened back to the old Warner Brothers cartoons, the classics, Bugs and Daffy and all that. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, they would do these... They did a couple of cartoons where they would have someone in a bookstore and the characters on the book covers would come to life and wackiness would ensue. My number 4 is the 90s version of that. My number 4 is Video Review.
Which was taken for the name of Monica and Johnny's podcast back about 10 years ago.
Video Review takes place in a video store. Now,
What's a video store, Mommy?
Yeah, I know. For those of you who are of a certain age, you will just go, "Oh my gosh, flashback, ow my neck." And
what
for
are
other
these
people,
big plastic things with this stringy stuff inside?
and for other people, they will be like, "What's a video store?" And to those people, I say, "Shut up."
Go to see your Redbox. That's the closest thing.
But the whole thing of video review, it's a musical segment for the most part, where the Warners pop off of the cover of their Animaniacs DVD videotape, I should say.
Yeah, it was a VHS.
Yeah, VHS. How meta.
It wasn't a beta, that's for sure.
And they sing about the other videos in the store. And they kind of piece together little stories and stuff like that. And it's very cute. I can't remember the tune, but it was like the Princess Bride went on to marry the Prince of Tides, and now that makes her dad the Fisher King, the father of the bride. You know, they tied in all these movie things.
All real movies. Too,
all real movies, and they have to run at one point from a T-Rex from Jurassic Park. And it's just fun, and if you're a movie freak like us, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so perfect.
It does harken back to the original Warner shorts. They did a lot of those in the 40s. They did one called Book Review. They did one called Lights Alive, which was all advertising signs. And they're brilliantly done. And this one was a spot-on new generation version of it.
It was, and it was really, I mean, to kids nowadays, it would seem, dare I say,
trite.
Quaint.
Trite.
But to us, it was very timely.
It was.
So, my number 4, video review.
My number 4 is the only Warner cartoon I have in this bunch with Dr. Scratch and Sniff involved. Scratchy is a favorite with his pseudo-Austrian German accent and his bald look and the glasses. And
when he first started treating the Warners, he had a full head of hair.
He did.
He pulled it out.
And his little lab coat and everything.
And his puppet.
And his puppet. And in this particular case, he's holding a group therapy session with them. And another particular character from another show who crosses over into the show 2 or 3 times after this. And I just think this is just possibly the best use of that character ever. My number 4 Animaniacs segment is Look at the Fuzzy Heads, featuring Elmira from Tiny Toons.
Run!
Oh my God! I seriously had so much trouble breathing. I was laughing so hard because she's thinks that the Warners are all cute little puppy things.
For those of you who don't remember Elmira, she was a character from Tiny Toons Adventures that was possibly the most frightening character I've ever seen in a cartoon. You know,
look at her little fuzzy hands.
She loved animals to death, and I don't mean that in like an ew way.
Similarly to the way little Lisa Rental did on Sheep in the Big City.
Yeah. Anybody else who remembers that show besides him?
Bite me. Anyway, in this, she's got it in their heads that the Warners are cute little puppy dogs, and she wants to hug them and squeeze them and have fun with them. She can't seem to grasp the fact that they're 20 times smarter than she is. And
20 times? Well, you're being kind.
No, don't you mean I'm not being kind?
You're not being kind enough to the Warners.
Okay, yeah. And this session is hysterical, and later on she follows them all over the studio, and she actually pops up in 2 or 3 later cartoons because people enjoyed this connection. Fans enjoyed it, and she later ended up sharing a show with Pinky and the Brain, which I still don't get. No. But this is so funny.
Brain finally found someone dumber than Pinky.
Yeah, because I used to grab her around the neck and do the whole Elmira thing that she'd do in this thing. I'd start scrubbing her hair and go, look at her little fuzzy head, because that's what she, does to these guys.
And then I'd bite him.
Yes. It was wicked funny, and it still is. Look at the fuzzy heads, number 4 on my Animaniacs list.
My number 3 is one that you've already mentioned. I'm surprised it was as low on your list as it was, considering the fact that I know the animosity that you bared toward the evil purple demon thing, also known as Barney the Dinosaur. My number 3 is Baloney and Kit.
Can I tell my story?
What?
There's nothing quite like...
Yes, the Barney story. Have to hear the Barney story.
There's nothing quite like working retail at Christmas time during the time when Barney is suddenly taking off. Because I'm working in a large record store, and I come up, and I'm new there. I just moved up here, and I'm like doing my best to help these people. And this lady and her daughter comes up to me, and the lady is looking for Christmas presents, and she's like, "Can you help me find this?" And I'm like, "Sure." She's looking for cassettes and whatever. Throughout the entire 5-minute conversation, the daughter never stops repeating the same phrase. "Barney says don't talk to strangers. Barney says don't talk to strangers. Barney says don't talk to strangers." And her mother's just ignoring her.
Well, the mother's probably got
I had a migraine the size of
Brandon.
I had a migraine the size of Los Angeles by the time I got done with work that day. It's just like, oh my Lord, really?
Well, considering you didn't have to take the little ankle biter home, I mean, and she did.
No, but she did. If she did this at every store, that poor woman must have been insane.
Probably.
I felt so bad for her. Anyway, your stories.
The Warners, as TC mentioned, are forcibly, I think they're sent in a box, sent to the PBS studio, and they are subjected.
Oh yeah, they had the whole PBS logo parody at the beginning of this, which is really ironic.
And they are subjected to the smothering cloyness that is Baloney the dinosaur, who is, if it is possible, even more annoying, nauseating, and just than Barney was.
I love you, you love me. I won't go any further.
You're lucky you're way over there.
Well, I would normally start singing the naughty version, but I don't want to do that with our audience. It might offend people. Anyway, go ahead.
And we managed, for the next, 15 minutes or so, we watched the Warners unleash all manner of hell on Baloney. The problem is that Baloney is so rock effing stupid that he doesn't realize that the Warners are trying to destroy him.
He does start to near the end, finally. Only just, though.
Only just.
Yeah.
And it is, for any parent or older sibling or babysitter or whomever that had to suffer through dealing with that
Purple ugly demon thing
back in the 90s, I would think that Baloney and Kids was probably a welcome bomb.
It's schadenfreude for everybody that can't stand that character.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
So my number 3, Baloney and Kids. We're sadists, I know.
I had a hard time with my top 3. I kept bopping them back and forth. And they were all number 1 at one point, and then they were all number 2 at one point, and then I had to... It was hard. Number 3 is... It's even funnier now that I know it was based on something that really happened. I didn't know that the first time I saw it.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay. I went and found that out. We brought it up later on Subject Cinema when I first found it out. And when you listen to the original tape, it's freaking hilarious. My number 3 is Yes Always from Pinky and the Brain. Brain is recording audio for a food commercial. Pinky is helping his sound guy produce this. And it is a direct rip-off, homage, parody of a bootleg tape that's floating out there of Orson Welles recording some spots for Findus Food in the 1960s in England. And it's cleaned up for a kids' show. Obviously, Orson says some stuff you don't want to put on a kids' show. And
at least not one that's on Adult Swim, a cartoon that's not on Adult Swim.
Yeah. He has to do this. We know a fjord in Norway, and every July peas grow there. And it's like, and then he starts questioning.
And then he proceeds to cut the script in half,
right,
in quarters, because
because the script. I mean, why would you say in July? How can you say in July and emphasize the word in? That's just not possible. All of this is a direct parody of this audio tape floating out there, which I did not know about until after I'd seen it. And it makes it even more funny than it actually is, because Pinky, the guy doing the Pinky part in the cartoon, obviously, in the real tape, obviously a producer or something. Pinky's stuff comes right from him, and then there's the sound guy trying to take the blame for this, and it's hysterical. And Maurice has never been better as the Brain, and because you're watching the footage of the cartoon of the commercial the Brain is doing, you suddenly realize this is an inane commercial. I think Orson was absolutely spot on when it came to this commercial. Okay.
Besides the fact that while he was a brilliant actor, director, producer, writer...
Just ask him, he'll tell you.
He's king of the world, you win. I really pitied anybody who had to try and direct Orson Welles in anything.
Yeah.
Because that would be like trying to wrangle cats. It's just, no, not happening. That
harkens back to a really old Super Bowl commercial.
That's a great choice, though.
I love Yes Always. It's one of my favorites, and you got to see it, and you got to find the Orson Welles thing. It's out there on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Okay, my number 2 is another Slappy Squirrel cartoon. I should also bring up who does those voices as well, just real quick. Sherry Stoner did the voice of Slappy Squirrel, and Skippy Squirrel was voiced by Nathan Ruger. I don't know how you say your name, Nathan. I'm sorry. My number 2 is a cartoon called Rest in Pieces. The gist of this cartoon is that Slappy receives some news that one of the people that she used to do cartoons with, that she filmed cartoons with, who played a villain named Walter Wolf, Walter has died, and she's been invited to give his eulogy. Now, that all sounds like an odd subject for a cartoon, but there's a twist. Walter's not really dead. Walter, along with his 2 fellow villains, Sid the Squid and Beanie the Brain-Dead Bison, have cooked up this scheme to...
you couldn't get that past the PC police today.
I know. To murder Slappy at this eulogy, so Walter's going to fake his death. Now, Slappy goes into this knowing full well it's a trap. She goes into it eyes wide open that it's a trap.
She's no stupid. She wasn't born yesterday.
No. She's established that herself. She's old. The part that just completely convulses me, because again, sadist, is the part where Walter's lying in his casket, open casket, and Slappy comes up to the casket, and she starts putting on this, it's like an Irish wake, screaming Walter's name and sobbing hysterically and pounding on his body because she can't believe he's gone, and she's so upset, and she's hitting him harder and harder and harder, and then the clubs come out, and I am just clutching my sides. I am in pain. I am laughing so hard. It is one of the I'm sorry. It is just truly, and it gets better from there because there's multiple explosions. And anything with that, as far as I'm concerned, that's just comedy gold right there. So my number 2, Rest in Pieces.
That one actually didn't get on my list. Really? I like it, but it's not as funny as my number 2, Slappy.
Okay.
Slappy is just brilliant, and this one was helped along by the fact that the action was moved along to music. Mm-hmm. Number 2 on my list, Frontier Slappy, in which Slappy meets a frontiersman she can't stand by the name of Daniel Boone. And
I don't think there were a lot of woodland critters that liked Daniel Boone very much. He wore most of them.
Some musical group, I want to say the Brothers 3 or something, are the chorus of this. They do this whole Daniel Boone was a great big man. It's a parody of the theme song from the old TV series.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's it wasn't quite the same tune.
Well, no, lawsuits.
And the song tells the story of Slappy, what happens when Slappy meets Daniel Boone. It ain't pretty, and it's freaking hilarious.
Yeah, because he wants to chop her tree down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to work.
The tree
out
is
well.
in the way of something he's building, and she ain't having none of it. I think that I have never laughed that hard at a Slappy ever. By the end of the song, I was gasping for air. The singers were great, and Sherry Stoner, she is one of the best voiceover artists ever, because she does always such a great. There's one Slappy that I really don't like, and it's the only full-length Slappy in the entire run. It's about what happens when Slappy gets... something happens and there's mistakes made and she ends up in a nursing home and thinks Skippy's dead. And I'm like, what? This is not fun. It wasn't funny, and I didn't like that one at all. Every other thing that she's done as this character is going to stand up heads and shoulders above everything else Sherry's done, because Slappy is just one of the funniest characters ever created. Number 2, Frontier's Slappy.
Okay. My number 1 favorite Animaniacs moment cartoon is... It's another one we wound up tossing some of the phrases into our vernacular. What can you say about this episode? My number 1 is called Chairman of the Board. B-O-A-R-D.
Guest artist Ben Stein.
Yes. The Warners, the Warner Brothers and the Warner sister wind up at a Hollywood party, and I don't know how, they just kind of crash it, because that's what they do.
Yeah.
And they're just, wandering around the party, getting food, and just, for once they're actually not causing a whole lot of mayhem.
No.
Really. Nothing's on fire, nothing's been broken, everything's fine. And it starts with Yakko. Yakko is looking around at the party and winds up standing next to this rather funny looking little man who seems very friendly, and
his name is Pip.
His name is Francis T. Pumphandle or something like that, but everybody calls me Pip.
Right.
And as you do at parties, that don't involve safe words.
Stop it!
Yakko makes a little. He makes a little conversation. He mentions something about the cheese puffs that they're eating at the party. Well, that just opened Pandora's box, and I know we're not talking about safe words.
Stop it!
Okay, because Pip launches into this something. I don't want to call it a story, because stories are supposed to have, meaning. Mm-hmm. I don't want to call it a monologue, because monologues are supposed to be,
How about just calling it sheer torture?
This is waterboarding with words. Pip manages to drone... And no offense to Mr. Stein,
he's made a living out of it. Don't give him...
Yeah, he's a very intelligent man, much smarter than me, and, wrote speeches for politicians and all that good stuff.
Still contributes to Sunday Morning.
Mm-hmm. Ben Stein's voice, and I'm sure this is an affected take on his actual voice, because I've actually heard him speak, and he's actually got a very pleasant voice. But holy tap dancing crickets on a moped. This speech in this droning voice that Mr. Stein uses for Pip goes on.
It's not unlike the voice he used in Ferris Bueller's Day
Yes,
Off.
Picture the voice that he used as the teacher saying Bueller. Picture
for
that
8 minutes.
Picture that tone in a story that's not stopping and doesn't seem to be stopping any time before the second coming. Yakko throws his brother Wacko literally in front of the guy so he can leave, and after a while Wacko turns to the camera and says, "This man is scaring me." That became part of our vernacular.
Yeah.
Eventually...
Pretty much everything Wacko ever said became part of it.
Yeah. Wacko pulls Dot into this, and Dot looks at the camera at one point and is like, "I'm going to hurt my brother badly." They wind up fleeing the party. They wind up fleeing the state. They pretty much almost...
And no matter where they go, there's Pip.
There's Pip. This is what happens when you give very talented people the chance to go absolutely nuts with a cartoon. Mm-hmm. This is hilarious. I definitely think this was one of the cartoons that was much obviously so much more targeted to
at the adults.
At the adults. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Not even the older brothers and sisters, the moms and dads who have been at these kind of parties and have been cornered by these kind of crashing, soul-sucking bores. So, my number one, chairman of the board. Are you okay?
Yeah, it actually was in my top 10 for a little while. It's in my honorable mentions, but I love that one. My number one is one you already mentioned, and of course you had to know it would be at the top, because it's just like, how can you miss it? And as you said, it represents the male population of Animaniacs fans. My number one Animaniacs cartoon of all time, Potty Emergency! Potty Emergency! I love Potty Emergency. This is one of the funniest things. I mean, Jess is, we met Jess at an Animaniacs signing at the now defunct Warner store at North Shore Mall in 1994. Mm-hmm. He was one of the most charming people I've ever met. Our whole group was up there because we were dying to meet him, and he was he had this beautiful leather jacket with the Animaniacs logo airbrushed on the back. It was so cool. And he was super nice, and he did, Wacko, and had a lot of fun talking to him. We got pictures and autographs and stuff. And he was very cool, and you'd never know that's the same guy that does the announcing on America's Funniest Home Videos these days. It's like the same guy. Okay. Potty Emergency, Kim pretty much ran down the whole episode. But there's little aspects of it that are funny. And it's because Wacko is used as the expression face of the entire group of them.
Yes.
Anytime they want to do a take on something, Wacko's face is what they use. Yakko can do the whole and Dot the whole, kind of cutesy upset. Wacko's face is his most expression thing. When he's drinking this gigantic hot tub of soda in the theater, he's slurping it down, he's eating a hot tub full of popcorn, and then he's watching the movie, and then suddenly it's just like, oop! And you see this look on his face, and he starts dancing around, holding himself. I got a potty emergency, I gotta go, I'll be back. Runs off for the next 7 minutes trying to find a bathroom.
That works.
Oh my God, it's so funny. Yeah, that works. It's so funny. He runs into a number of different people. He ends up going down the street like 5 or 6 blocks. Mm-hmm. It is totally male, without a question, and is simply Jess Harnell's best performance ever in that role. It's so funny, and I loved him. My number one Animaniacs segment of all time, Potty Emergency.
All right. So let's go through our list here.
And then I got more to do. From
10 to 1 on my list, Colin, a.k.a. Randy Beeman's friend. Number 9, Good Idea, Bad Idea. Number 8, A Gift of Gold. Number 7, Bumby's Mom. Number 6, Potty Emergency. Number 5, Clownin' Out. Number 4, Video Review. Number 3, Balonian Kids. Number 2, Rest in Pieces. And number 1, Chairman of the Board.
I have to admit, I'm stunned Karaoke Dokie isn't on your list. You loved that one.
I did, but...
My number 10 is Bumby's Mom. Number 9, Puppet Rulers, Pinky and the Brain. Number 8, Clownin' Out. Number 7, Balonian Kids. Number 6, Critical Condition with Slappy. Number 5, Karaoke Dokie. Number 4, Look at the Fuzzy Heads. Number 3, Yes, Always, from Pinky and the Brain and the sound guy. Number 2, Frontier Slappy. And number 1, Potty Emergency. Now, there's over 150 segments of Animaniacs over the 5 years they did it in 99 shows. I went through the whole thing, and I eventually culled it down to 36 of them. And so the following 26 listings are the ones that made my... I couldn't put in the top 10, but I love them, and I just want to bring them up because I want to promote them. You've mentioned several of them. Number 1, not in any particular order, but just in the order I have them here. The Great Rocco Roddy series, which is Wacko burping, usually, to classical music, although one he does fart hands. It's not... Jess took credit for it when we met him. It isn't Jess, it's Maurice LaMarche doing the voice.
Well, he might have done some of them.
Nope, not according to what I read. Broadcast Nuisance, which is the Warners fighting Dan Anchorman, a very, very funny clone of Sam Donaldson. Hollywood Chuck, one of those few one-shots. Can you do him, please?
Thank you. When I'm famous, I'll remember not to remember you.
I
didn't
love
do the line
that
right.
one. No, but I love that. You got that voice down.
I know,
A gift
I
of
do,
gold.
and it's really unnerving.
I love A Gift of Gold. I'm alone in our group liking Chicken Boo. I think Chicken Boo is hysterical.
I think Chicken Boo should meet Colonel Sanders.
Kung Boo, which is the parody of the Karate Kid. Woodstock Slappy, one of the funniest. Chairman of the Board, I Got Your Can, which we mentioned earlier, another Slappy. Nutcracker Slappy. The Please, Please, Please Get a Life Foundation, another thing that worked its way into our everyday vocabulary.
We never did print those cards. We really need to. Oh my gosh, do we need those cards now?
I like the one Jen had when we went to the fair that one time that said they handed her the card that said you were living impaired now.
Yeah.
That was funny. The Macadamia Nut, which is their take on the Macarena thing. Cookies for Einstein, where they meet Albert Einstein. Hooked on a Ceiling, where they help Michelangelo paint the Sistine Chapel. Temporary Insanity, which is the Skeletatary thing, which Stacy loves that one. Roll Over Beethoven, where they meet Beethoven, obviously. I thought I had that one. I guess I don't. There's another one or did I already mention it? There's another one where they meet Pablo Picasso. And do you know you have PP on your shirt? Because he has his initials. Anyway, another male thing. Oh, yeah, No Pain, No Painting. It's the next one. Duh. The Flame Returns. There was a great series of these historical shorts featuring a talking flame and a candle. The Flame Returns is the one where he watches Longfellow write the Midnight Ride of Paul Revere. It's Longfellow, right?
I'm not sure who wrote that.
I'm not sure either. I'm sorry, but it's and they have.
You asked me too fast.
I forget who voiced it. I think it's the same kid that did Slappy, Skippy.
Really?
Yeah, not sure.
Oh, I'm not sure either.
Hearts of Twilight, which is the Apocalypse Now parody with Jerry Lewis as Mr. Director. Oh my God, it's a riot.
You don't have to see Apocalypse Now to get that one. It would help.
You don't need to, though, really. Yakko's World, which is where he's singing the countries of the world.
Which is now, totally out of date.
Bubba Boba Brain, where Brain gets to become a country singer. That's a riot. The Chicken Who Loved Me, Chicken Boo's parody of James Bond. The Randy Beeman stories from Colin. Drive Insane, which is the Warners with Scratch and Sniff and his date at a drive-in. Little Old Slappy from Pasadena, which is a music video set to little old lady from Pasadena. Dot's Poetry Corner, which I can't believe isn't on your list. That became part of our thing. And King Yakko. And the reason I like King Yakko, which is a whole episode, is because it introduced us to Perry Como. Perry Como is their takeoff on Perry Como. And according to them, he puts you into coma whenever he sings. And he sings the theme, the national anthem of Anvilania. Watching Kim react to me doing that is always funny, because she like practically strangles me. But it's so funny.
You wouldn't think you'd find it funny, but
it's funny as hell. So those are the ones I picked. And Animaniacs, the entire series, is available on Netflix. All 99 episodes are there. You can see them. I'm not sure which version of Broadcast Nuisance made the DVD. Broadcast Nuisance, when it first aired on Fox Kids, was it on Warner or Fox first?
I think it was
Fox
still
Kids
on
first.
Fox Kids. Yeah, it started on Fox Kids, and then they moved to the WB.
Yeah, it's a parody of Wacko, Yakko, and Dot terrorizing a guy named Dan Anchorman who looks like Sam Donaldson, acts like Sam Donaldson.
Sounds like
Sam Donaldson. And the writers who wrote the script thought they were too harsh on the character when it first aired. So from that point on, they re-looped it with some new dialogue that wasn't quite as harsh. I don't know which version made the DVD. I haven't watched it for ages. But it's raucously funny. And it was one of the best cartoons ever made. I mean, this is just one of those freaks of nature where you get a stroke of brilliance from somebody that turns into, I mean, let's be honest, our Joy's kids will be showing their grandchildren Animaniacs eventually.
I think so, definitely.
Because it's just it's that funny a show and that timely.
Totally.
Except maybe for video review, which is great. And the reason I didn't put it on my list is because I did feel now it's kind of dated. But thinking of it the way you thought of it, I understand why you did that now.
Yeah.
And it's a great bit, but they did 3 or 4 DVDs or CDs of their music too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which we owned.
Oh yeah, we own them. We still own them. Okay. Your turn.
Okay.
Would you like to think a minute?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm going to tie this in with something that's going on this month on one of our favorite TV channels, on one of our favorite shows on this channel. This month on MeTV, the horror host Sven Gulli, who is one of our all-time favorite people because he's just awesome, is running. They're running 4 Godzilla films, starting with Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Which means we're staying up late on Saturday.
Pardon me, Kermit Flail. Yay! So I figured, in honor of that, this week upcoming, our top 10 list should be our top 10 each favorite movie monsters. These have to be actual monsters. These cannot be humanoid monsters. These have to be usually giant critters.
So you're talking now, kaiju or
nope, not just kaiju.
Okay,
from all over the world, anywhere you want to pick a monster from, whether you like them because they scare you or they make you laugh, you find them sympathetic. For whatever
I can think of 2 or 3 of them that are just fall down funny.
For whatever reason they're on your list, put them on there, and we'll give you those lists next week.
Okay. Oh, this will be fun. I'll have to be asking you questions all week long. Before we get out of here, let's run down all of our other stuff that you should be listening to. Subject Cinema every Sunday evening, usually around 7 p.m. Eastern. Great reviews, talk, Oscar coverage, awards coverage. Upcoming, we just did our festival of film festivals, and you've got Masochistic March to look forward to. Coming up in just a couple of weeks. We're going to be doing those, and we have lots of fun doing those. So every Sunday evening, usually around 7 o'clock. Saturdays are Kim's domain.
Yes. Saturday evenings, most of the time, that is when you guys can come visit Platinum Rose's Garden. Platinum Rose's Garden is my Supernatural podcast where I look at the past week's episode of Supernatural and give a review of it, what I thought of it, what I liked about it, and also give any news that is going on in the community of the TV show Supernatural. And if you guys come and check it out, I hope you'll do that and tell your friends about it if you're interested. And you can check it out over at PlatinumRosesGarden.com.
There's also Cavebabble with Eric and Valerie Lyon every weekend. Cavebabble, mostly movies these days, but they also talk about games, TV, odd things to eat, and more with our great friends from Missouri, Eric and Valerie Lyon at Cavebabble.com. We also have a couple of spin-offs of Subject Cinema other than Front Row 5 and 10. They are Tuesday Digidex every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern and 3 Minute Weekend every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Tuesday covers new DVD releases, streaming, Amazon Prime, and Netflix. Friday, 3 Minute Weekend, covers all the new films coming out to theaters in the U.S. And don't forget to check out our newest show, which just premiered last night, Catastrophe Vortex with yours truly. All disaster movies, all the time. Plus music, real disasters, the ones they should make into movies, and more. If you're in for the masochistic look at disaster films, I think you'll like it. And let's face it, it's one of the genres I really know backward and forward like the back of my hand. Catastrophe Vortex with me every Wednesday evening. So, Godzilla's best monsters.
Yes, best and to make things even more interesting, I think we should allow different incarnations of those monsters.
What?
I'm just saying, if
that means you're going to have like 6 different versions of Godzilla on your list.
No, I promise I won't do that. I promise I will not do that.
What'll happen if I decide to pick the Roland Emmerich Godzilla?
I'll slap you. I'll slap you and you can sleep on the couch.
I would never do that. Okay, we can do that then. So let's get on out of here.
Okay. So this is Kim Brown.
And I'm T.C. Kirkham.
And we're hoping we can count on you to come back next week and help us count up our results here on Front Row 5 and 10.
See you next week.
Bye.
You've been listening to Front Row 5 and 10 with Kim Brown and T.C. Kirkham.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.